Detective. Thank you. Proceed with your swear firm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do, Your Honor.
Have a seat. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Dalton Malott. I'm a detective with Kentucky State Police.
May I ask?
Thank you, Judge. And just for the record, we're also on for a prelim in 24F 130 and 131 on Ms. Rudd and Ms. Tucker. I'm moving to dismiss those without prejudice, Your Honor. Those are abandonment of a minor charge because of some developments in the investigation on Friday. We're moving to dismiss those counts without prejudice.
All right. Attorney for Mr. Rudd. Got any objections to the Commonwealth's dismissal on that case?
No, Your Honor.
And counsel for Ms. Tucker, any objections to a dismissal on that case?
We do not object to the dismissal of the abandonment of minor child.
I would probably conclude. All right, those two are out of the way. Back to the prelims on 135, 136, 137. You may ask.
Detective Malott, can you state your name, where you're employed?
Dalton Malott. I'm a detective with Kentucky State Police.
And were you the lead detective in this investigation regarding several drug offenses, criminal abuse of a child, and engaging in organized crime, as well as some gun charges on some of these individuals as well?
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain a search warrant for a residence that led to some of these charges?
I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, this involves a separate investigation. Obtained a search warrant for the residence of 217 Deanfield Church Road in Reynolds Station. We executed that search warrant on June the 6th. During the execution of that search warrant, located several items, one being a plastic bag in plain view laying in the floor that's consistent with methamphetamine. It was field tested and tested positive for methamphetamine. Located in plain view, roughly around 61 trazodone pills that were already packaged for sale. Located a large amount of bags. Also located a large scale that's consistent with drug trafficking. Again, multiple items of paraphernalia. We located 3 firearms in the residence, 2 handguns, and another long gun. Located a bag with what appeared to be THC edibles, marijuana edibles that were packaged. We've also located on a second search warrant more paraphernalia, more items that are consistent with potential manufacturing. That they have not been charged yet, but we're still processing that evidence.
Okay. From your training and experience, do you believe it to be the drugs you've mentioned and field test positive for meth?
Yes, the bag that we located in plain view, it appeared that it was in a child's room. It was laying next to Narcan, which is a overdose medication, to reverse, an overdose. That plastic bag was field tested and tested positive for methamphetamine, and there was also what is called a straw tutor that's commonly used to encephalate or snort drugs in that same room.
Through your investigation, have you determined whether or not these 2 individuals reside?
Yes, through our investigation, we actually determined there was 4 individuals, potentially a 5th one. We're still investigating that lived at the property, but the main 3 are Tesla Tucker, Cage Rudd, and Ricky Smith.
Is it fair statement that all 3 of these individuals were in custody at the time of the execution of the search warrant?
They were. We had taken them into custody the night prior over another investigation, which also included drug offenses as well.
Now, those offenses are in a different county, is that a fair statement?
Yes, Davis County.
But in what you recovered the night before in Davis County, is it relevant to the charge of engaging in organized crime in this county and this charge in Knoxville?
It is, and also the stuff that we located at this residence is not only connected to that investigation, but it's also connected to a federal investigation in Davis County as well.
Is it a fair statement that based on what you found in the execution of this search warrant in Ohio County, along with what you found the night before in Davis County, did it indicate to you ongoing drug trafficking activity by all three of these individuals?
Yes, sir.
Are you also aware for the film with the gun charge on Mr. Sweet, that you were that are you aware or have you been informed that he's a convicted felon?
Yes, we had dispatched, coordinate him and confirm that he had been convicted of a felony.
Mr. Rudd as well, I believe, has that same charge. Is it felony diversion he's under?
He's under a felony diversion.
There's also a criminal abuse of a child under the age of 12 count here. In your investigation, over the course of the last few months, have there been children present in that home to your knowledge from the investigation?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Through our investigation, obviously we have some conflicting stories of what kids were out there, but we were for sure on a small baby that was living in the residence. Through interviews, we were able to confirm that 3 other children had been in and out of the residence between that residence and grandma's house, who actually has custody of those children. But the small baby was the one that was supposed to be living actively in that residence. The other ones, through our investigation, would show that they were living there off and on.
Is it a fair statement that all 4 of these children you're discussing are under the age of 12?
Yes.
Are all 4 of these children, well, to your knowledge at least, the children of Miss Tucker and Mr. Rudd?
To my knowledge, yes.
The items that you recovered, the drugs and drug paraphernalia that you testified to earlier throughout the property, were they in locations that were easily accessible to your child?
Absolutely. Specifically, the bag of meth was in a room with bassinet, a child's bed, and it was literally laying in the floor in plain view next to the arcade.
And was that address here in Ohio County?
It is. It's 217 Deanfield Church Road in Reynolds Station.
Judge, I think that's all the questions I have related to the charges that were here on today.
I'll start going left to right.
Yes, Judge. So Detective Malott, you said the bag that was located in what you believe to be the child's room, that field tested positive for methamphetamine?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an approximate rate on how much was in that?
It's just residue. Obviously, the lab will weigh it, but it's residue.
Understood. Was there any amount of methamphetamine that you found that was not residue?
We found a glass bottle. I don't know if it's methamphetamine. It's a white powder, but again, it was just simply residue. We're obviously waiting to see what that comes back with the lab. I didn't
Okay.
field test that.
Okay. And the 61 trazodone pills you mentioned, you said that those had been packaged for sale.
Yes.
What did you mean when you said that?
So obviously, pills come in, a pill bottle. Those pills were actually located on the fireplace in what I believe is the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they had taken a plastic bag and had sealed it off by burning the edges. That way, it's not like a normal plastic bag where you just open it up, and that's common with drug trafficking.
Were all 61 in one bag, or were they placed separately in other bags?
They were all in one bag.
Okay, and you said you knew that the methamphetamine bag had been found in a child's room because there was furniture indicating it was...
And there was a diaper in there. There's a lot of items in that room, but there was a bassinet, baby bed, another child's bed, baby diapers. So I would indicate that that would more likely be the child's room.
Where was the trazodone found?
It was on the fireplace
Oh, yeah,
in the
that's right,
living
sorry,
room.
you said that. How many rooms in the house?
I'd have to go back to my notes. There's quite a bit of rooms, and then not only that, you have what they call the bunkhouse, which is, separate from the actual residence in there, and then there's also a camper.
Okay, so there's one house, there's a separate bunkhouse and a separate camper.
Yes.
To your knowledge, do you know where Mr. Smith was living?
Through interviews, he was living in the camper.
Interviews with whom?
Himself and other individuals throughout this investigation.
Do you remember the names of those individuals?
I'd have to have my list. I've talked to.
It's
Yeah,
in
it's
the
been,
Kybers.
yeah, it's a 2-week investigation. I've talked to countless number of people throughout this. so.
All of it noted in the Kybers? though?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you spoke with Mr. Smith himself.
I did.
Did he relate any statements to you other than that he lived in the camper?
It's in reference to the other investigation.
The
Really?
Davis County investigation or the charges he was arraigned on today?
Neither. It's another investigation involving a child. That's what his interview was referenced to, but that's how I confirmed that he was living in the camper.
So no statements related to this case?
No. His interview was the day before.
But KSP has body cam,
Yes.
and body cam was active during this interview?
Yes.
Okay, and that recording has been preserved?
Yes. And not only on body cam, but I'll use body cam and 2 recorders. That way I have it all, just in case one of them goes down. So
Okay, and that same procedure for the search warrant being executed?
as far as body cams, I would have to see each individual trooper. I did not have my body cam specifically on for that, but our road troopers normally would have body cams, but I'd have to check, their cameras.
Okay, and so you don't know whether or not those have been preserved?
As far as that, if we're talking about this search warrant, no.
Okay. Do you know, so the children who you know to have been living at that residence, do you know whether or not Mr. Smith is the custodian or caretaker for any of those children?
He's just grandparent. He's grandpa.
Okay. You had mentioned, though, that one of the grandparents was a custodian for the children,
Yes,
but not Mr. Smith.
that's correct.
Okay. Were all of them in DCBS custody?
Are you talking about the other kids?
All 4.
Not all 4. Three of the 4 were in CPS custody, but were placed with grandma, which would be Tesla Tucker's mom. The baby was not in CPS's custody. The baby was in their custody.
Okay. You stated that, we're jumping over back and forth a bit here, my apologies for that, that Mr. Smith was living out on the camper. Was there any kind of rental agreement regarding that?
No. And there's a sign at the front of the property that has his name on it. It says Ricky Smith, 217 Deanfield Church Road, no trespassing.
In front of the camper?
It's on the road on a telephone pole. He's got it posted out there.
Okay. Does it just say 217 Deanville Church Road, Ricky Smith, no trespassing?
I'd have to go look at my picture, but that's the gist of the sign.
You have a picture of
Yeah.
it, though, in your report, okay. The handguns, and then you mentioned a long gun, was it a rifle, shotgun?
I believe it's a muzzle loader.
And where were all 3 of those weapons found?
Handguns were found in the back bedroom. The muzzle loader was concealed up in the attic.
Okay. Did you have a search warrant for Mr. Smith's camper?
It covers the entire property, including outbuildings, campers, any building on the property.
Okay. Any of the drugs referenced in this case today found in that camper?
No,
Any of the guns found in that camper?
no.
Any items indicating that children were living in that camper?
I'd have to go back and look at the pictures, but I don't believe so. I don't think we seized anything out of the camper related to the children.
Okay. we covered that. That's all my questions for this witness, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Your turn, ma'am.
Detective, you charged my client with enhanced trafficking and controlled
Ma'am.
substance meth.
One up to the podium, man.
Apologize.
How the camera. There you go.
Detective, you charged my client with enhanced trafficking of controlled substance methamphetamine, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yet you testified here today that the only methamphetamine that you found in the house was residue, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have it controlled by?
I do not have control of.
Do you have any other methamphetamine within the house that you located pertaining to, aside from just residue?
Not, that's it, just residue.
So your entire basis for trafficking in a controlled substance, methamphetamine, is residue in a baggie with reference to the methamphetamine?
That is not my entire basis.
Okay. Will you tell me the rest of the
Again,
basis?
we have large amounts of packages, scales, large bags that are commonly used for drug trafficking, as well as the guns, which is commonly used in drug trafficking operations. We also have pills that are, again, 61 trazodone pills. So there's other evidence too. Yes, I understand what you're saying. There is just residue, but there's other evidence. Also, we're getting search warrants for the phones, and we're pinning that investigation if there is any indication of drug trafficking.
How many scales are there?
I'd have to go back and look through our evidence, but there's a big one. There's a large scale, and I believe at least I remember 2 other scales being located as well, but I have to go through my evidence logs.
Where was the scales found?
The large scale was found in the bunkhouse, which would be basically you have the main residence, and there's a small building that's right outside the house. Those scales were located in that building.
And in the course of your investigation, you determined that Tesla Tucker was not living in that bunkhouse, correct?
She was living in the main residence.
In the main residence. You found no scales in that main residence?
That's correct.
Okay. And the guns that you found, you said one was up in the ceiling, is that right?
Yeah, basically there's an attic, basically a crawl space in the house, and there's a ladder that goes up to it, and it was concealed up in that attic area. Wouldn't necessarily say it's an actual attic, there's no floors or anything, it's just insulation and that kind of stuff. It was up there in the attic area.
Okay. And the handguns were found in a back bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to determine in the course of your investigation who slept in the back bedroom?
No, I wasn't able to interview your client, so I don't know where she slept. It would give indication that's where more than likely the adults in the house slept. But again, through interviews, I've not been able to determine who actually slept in that room.
And there were no actual drugs found in the room near any of those handguns, correct?
There was marijuana edibles located.
Marijuana. What was the quantity of the marijuana?
Again, they're edibles. I think approximate weight is 24 grams. But again, I'd have to have my evidence form in front of me, but approximately, if my memory serves me right, it was about 24 grams.
Were they still in the packaging?
Yes.
Okay. Had the packaging been opened?
You could tell that it's been opened. If you're talking about marijuana edibles, like coming from a factory packaging or
Factory packaging.
it's in its own separate plastic bag. There was no factory packaging or anything like that. It's a personal plastic bag.
You said 2 to 4 grams. Were these
I didn't say 2 to 4 grams. I said 24 grams.
24 grams? Got you. And had the bag had been opened?
I mean, it's a personal bag, so I'm going to assume that wherever they got this from, they had opened it, put it in that bag.
Okay. And how close was the handgun to the edibles?
Edibles were literally laying on top of the handguns.
Okay. And when you're referring to bag, are you talking about like a female handbag, or what type of bag, or a gym bag, or what?
Plastic bag,
It was a plastic bag,
clear plastic bag.
like a Walmart bag?
No, like a gigantic
Garbage
gallon,
bag.
gallon Ziploc bag.
Okay. So a gallon Ziploc bag, and it was set over top of the 2 handguns.
Yes. So it's basically there's a drawer, you got handguns, marijuana edibles on top of handguns.
Okay, and these were in a drawer.
Yes.
Okay. What other things were in that drawer?
That's basically the only things that were that off the top of my head. Obviously, there's a lot of items in this house, but specifically in that drawer, that's all I remember being in there.
Was there anything else in that drawer used to repackage any type of drugs?
Not specifically in that drawer, but obviously throughout our search, yes.
And there was no scale in that drawer?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said that you did check to see if anyone was convicted felons in the house, right?
Yes,
And Tesla Tire was not a convicted felon.
that's correct.
Did you run those guns to see who they belonged to?
They will, the ATF, we have a program that the ATF runs those. It just takes a little bit to get those bags, but what we run through is called NCIC. That's just a check if they're stolen. And then we send the serial numbers off to the ATF and they can confirm who's bought those guns. Not necessarily, it'll be who they purchased from the store. That's how they track that.
Okay. None of the guns came back as stolen.
That's correct.
Okay. Just to switch gears a little bit, back to the criminal abuse first degree. That was charged because you found a plastic bag with what appeared to be methamphetamine residue.
As well as the living conditions.
Okay. That was not filed because of any type of physical abuse to a child that you're aware of.
That investigation is still pending.
But as we sit here today, you know of no physical abuse to a child that gives rise to this particular charge.
I mean, I do know that there is abuse that has occurred in this investigation, but the charge that we're speaking of is related to the living conditions and the methamphetamine laying in a child's room.
You don't know how long that baggie of residue was in the room that you believe to be the child's room, do you?
I do not.
You've talked about a young child, Maya, right?
I've never mentioned her name, but
That's her
correct.
name,
Yes.
Maya. So you know that that child has been, her body has been discovered.
Judge, I object that this is going well beyond what we're here for today. Today, we're here for the charges in front of you, which are drug-related, gun-related, and criminal abuse charge, not
Your line of questioning, how does it connect to the charges that are in front of us today?
The way it connects to the charges, Your Honor, is there's been no basis to indicate that Maya was present when that methamphetamine bag was around. And the only way that they can proceed on a criminal abuse first is to actually show that the child was around methamphetamine.
He's testified, Your Honor, that the child was in custody of these two individuals. He's testified to the parents and brothers and the three other children that went over there all over
I agree with the Commonwealth. I'll let you ask him what evidence they have that they were there. That's about as far as you're going to get. This line of question.
Okay. What evidence do you specifically have that Maya was present when the methamphetamine was used in the home?
She was in the custody of Tesla Tucker and Kate Rudd. There's baby items in that room. No one else had custody of her. It's the residence that they lived. And again, there's literally a bag of meth laying in a baby's room next to Narcan. It's about as far as I'm going to go into the rest of the evidence.
And again, that meth residue was found in June of this year, right?
That's correct, June 6th.
Okay. What was the quantity of marijuana? Oh, you said 24 grams.
That's correct.
And the trazodone is the trafficking and controlled substance of a legend drug, correct?
That's correct.
That was not bagged separately?
It's in its own bag, and then it's sealed off. Basically, use torch lighters and melt the plastic, and that's what kind of bag it is.
Okay. As we sit here today, you don't know of anyone that there had been any type of arrangement to sell the trazodone to?
Trazodone.
Okay. As we sit here today, do you know of anyone where there has been an arrangement to sell methamphetamine to?
I do, but it's separate. It's connected to this investigation, but that's in Davis County.
That's all the questions that I had, Your Honor.
Madam?
Just like cleanup at this point. I've asked a lot of the questions already. I want to talk about the bedroom a little bit that you said looked like a kid's room. What other items were in that room?
So we have what appear to be a child's bed. There would be like a playpen and then a bassinet. There was also a newborn diaper laying on the floor. I believe there was some sort of cloth that maybe the baby had, if I remember right. Those are kind of the main items that I remember specifically in that room.
Sorry, were there other non-baby items in the room?
Absolutely. There was a lot of items in that room.
Tell me more about that.
It's pretty much just trash. I mean, there's a lot of trash in that room, a lot of debris, a lot of clutter. I mean, that's about.
Was there space in the bassinet for a baby to lay?
Yes.
Okay, but lots of trash?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you would expect that the baby would be laying with the trash?
Yeah, you'd have to ask your client. I don't know where they expected their baby to lay, but that is a baby bed. And
Were
there's
there
a bassinet.
boxes, like storage boxes?
There's a storage box on the outside in the hall, but no other storage boxes inside.
And you testified that you don't know, you're assuming that that was used as a baby's room, but you don't know the last time a kid had actually been in it.
I don't know where the kids would actually even sleep in this place, just based on the debris in the house.
And isn't it true that at the time, Tesla and Cage were actually staying at a motel?
Yes, that's where we located them. It was the day prior, June the 5th.
Who lived in the bunker?
In the bunkhouse.
Yeah.
Through our investigation, we were told that it was Brody Payne. Also located multiple items in that room, mail, stuff written on it, that has Brody Payne's name on it.
And that's where you said you found the large scale?
Yes.
What else did you find in the bunkhouse?
In the bunkhouse, large scales, a gigantic box of syringes that weren't used, found used needles, found some sort of chemistry type equipment, that had white residue. There was also a plate, like a glass plate that had white residue on it, as well as a glass bottle. I mean, there's just a lot of items, again, that we collected through this investigation. Those are the ones off the top of my head, but that's kind of just,
Do drug traffickers typically have syringes?
they do,
Do they sell them?
they do,
Do drug users have syringes?
they do.
Okay, do drug users have, we know they have scales, or that traffickers have scales. Do drug users also keep scales?
They can. Typically, smaller digital scales, just when they weigh it to make sure that you get what they pay for it. Right.
Would you expect to see empty bags of meth for drug trafficking?
You can, yeah. Some drug trafficking cases we've had, smaller bags of meth. But again, the items that we located in the bunkhouse would indicate that a large quantity was being moved or stored on that property at one point.
Just based on the items that were there, not illegal items?
It's all connected as evidence into the illegal item that we located.
You didn't find any of the product
We didn't find a large amount of product at that residence.
at the bunkhouse.
At the bunkhouse, or in their residence. The only large amount of drugs, I could say large amount, was the trazodone pills that were sitting on the fireplace. But any other weight or product or anything like that was located the night before in Owensboro.
Wouldn't you agree an empty baggie of what used to be meth was more consistent with a user?
It can be, yes.
Do you know how long the 3 other kids have been removed from the home? How long it had been?
I have to look at the CPS record. I know that they had been removed, were supposed to be removed for a while, and they weren't supposed to be at the residence, but I know they were through my investigation. They were actually staying at the residence when they weren't supposed to.
How far apart is that residence and the grandmother's house where they were supposed to be living?
How far is it? Grandma lives in Owensboro. Middle Station's approximately 30 minutes.
Okay. The trazodone pills, you said they're packaged for sale. Could that just also equally be, they bought those that way?
They could have bought them that way.
Okay.
It's just in an improper container, simply.
Okay, so not necessarily evidence of drug trafficking.
It's just, well, typically when you're getting, it just depends on what kind of drug it is. When you're getting prescribed, if it's a monthly dose, roughly, depending on how many pills you take a day. But again, yeah, it could be they bought it and it's just simply stored there, but again, it's just not in its normal
Normal container, so they could have been selling it, or just as easily they could have bought it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the camper and the bunkhouse, you said, are separate from the house.
Yes.
I want to ask about the guns. The muzzle loader in the attic, clearly not using that to further any trafficking, right?
I can't answer that. I just know that I located a muzzle loader.
Did you have to climb up in there, or?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Usually, they're using the gun to facilitate trafficking.
Protected the speculation. Now the gun, we know where it's at.
Let's deal with just the facts.
Okay. The 2 guns that you found in the back bedroom, they were in a drawer?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if they're functioning guns?
Yes, they appear to actually be almost brand new guns. They were clean.
Not collectible guns?
No.
The muzzle loader, do you know if it worked?
I don't. I mean, it appears that it would function. It's not like an old muzzle loader. It appears to be a functioning muzzle loader.
And you said the handguns were brand new?
They appeared in good condition.
Were there bullets?
Yes.
And I think you said, back to the trazodone pills, I think your words were it was in a personal bag, right?
I mean, it's a plastic bag. That's what I said.
You said personal size.
I mean, it's a smaller plastic bag.
What about money? Did you find any large bills, stacks of money?
Are we speaking at the residence, or are we talking about the?
Where you've charged them with trafficking, yes, here.
It connects to another investigation in Davis County, and we did find a large amount of cash in Davis County, which also connects to this residence.
Where was that? You said you found it in Davis County, at the motel?
Yes.
But none in Ohio County.
That's correct.
Did it look like anybody had been living in that residence?
I mean, it appears that people were living in the residence. I don't know how they did live in the residence based on the conditions, but it appears that obviously people had been staying in that property.
Just based on the fact that things were there?
Items, personal items. The power was still working the first time that we went out there, and the power was cut off the second time that we went out there.
What about running water
There was running water.
throughout the whole house?
I know that there was a water leak, and there's a bathroom. Again, I didn't go around and turn on faucets and all that, but I do know that they had some sort of water leak in one of the rooms. There's the bathroom up by the kitchen.
Did I hear you say there was a fifth person that might be living out there?
Yes.
In the residence or in one of the?
Just staying on the property.
Are you at liberty to share that name?
I would object to, I mean, I think we testified, but I think testimony speaks for itself. I'm not sure all the probable cause of it.
Just extra people in the house, and it sounds like a house that people are coming in and out of. So it goes to whether or not it was my client that was responsible for the drugs being in the house.
We're not doing illegal business today. I would sustain it on this.
Thank you, Your Honor. There is a possible fifth person that's coming in and out.
At least, I mean, again, as this investigation goes on, I can't tell you how many people may or may not be out there, but at this time, I have knowledge of 5 people staying there.
And you said no scales were found in the main residence?
Not that I believe, again, the main majority, if I remember each one where they were, it was all in that bunkhouse area where, again, a lot of the drug trafficking type items were located.
And that's where
Including-
Mr. Mr. Payne?
Yes, ma'am. That's where a lot of his personal items were with his name. We got the chemistry set in there, a lot of items out there.
That's all the questions I have.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Conwell, please ask any other questions.
Just briefly, Detective Malott, you were asked about Ricky Smith. You said that part of your investigation, that he lived in the camper. Did that come directly from him, that he said he lived in the camper?
Yes.
Is it a fair statement that other people you spoke to gave accounts that differ from that?
That is true.
The resident?
Ricky's accounts, he lives in the camper. Other people's statements reflect that. He would stay in the camper, but would also stay in the house, and was kind of back and forth.
Okay. Do you know about how long, when we talk about the search warrant the night before was for a motel or hotel in Owensboro, is that a fair statement?
We actually executed a dual search warrant. The one I was a part of was the one in Owensboro at the hotel, locating all Tesla Tucker, Miya Rudd, and Ricky. At the time we were executing that search warrant, a search warrant was also being conducted at that residence as well that night, attempting to locate a missing child. And
At the
then
residence in Deanfield?
Deanfield, and then the next morning,
Is there
obtained
this search warrant that we're here on today?
Right.
Okay. Any indication all 3 of these individuals were located the night before this search warrant in Owensboro, is that a fair statement?
Yes.
In that hotel?
Besides Mr. Payne, which obviously we're talking about the 3.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the
Right.
3 we're here on.
Yes.
And any indication how long they've been in that hotel staying there?
Right now, that specific hotel was that night. Now, we're still getting our timeline down.
Was there other evidence in this kind of case indicative of ongoing drug activity found on him the night before?
Yes.
Yes, Judge. Detective Malott, who owns the home at 217 Deanfield?
I don't have the PVA record in front of me. All I have is, again, the sign on the outside that says property's owned by Ricky.
So if it's owned by Cody Rudd in PVA, you wouldn't know that?
I don't know that. I've been told that Cody's name is on some type of document, but I haven't physically seen that to testify to it.
Okay. That would be something that you look into during your
Absolutely.
investigation? Okay. And the camper is on the property of 217?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said, through Mr. Chambers' questioning, that there were other individuals who had said Ricky Smith varies between the camper and the home?
That's correct.
Which individuals are those?
One being probation and parole, that he's on probation, they do home visits, have located him in the residence and not the camper. Other individuals are obviously going to be listed in the case as, people that I've interviewed.
Do you remember approximately how many other individuals?
I don't. I'd have to go look at all my supplements.
Are they people who also live in the home?
That's no.
Okay. So nobody that you think, specifically Ms. Tucker, Mr. Cage Rudd, and Mr. Brody Payne, none of them have indicated to you that Mr. Smith lives in the main house?
I'd have to go back and listen to those interviews to testify to it, but at this time, no, I can't speak on that.
Have you done an interview with Ms. Tucker?
Not Ms. Tucker, no.
Have you done an interview with Cage Rudd?
I have.
And have you done an interview with Brody Payne?
I have.
Okay. But you don't recall off the top of your head if Mr. Rudd or Mr. Payne indicated that Mr. Smith lived in the trailer, or in the house, excuse me?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay. And you said probation and parole indicated sometimes they did home visits but located Mr. Smith at that house. But that would have just been during the day, during regular home visit checks?
Yes.
Okay. Did he have, so in that type of situation, he would have to have listed, even if he was living on a separate unit on that property, he would have to have listed 217 Deanfield Church as his address for probation and parole?
That's my understanding.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
I have no further questions.
No questions.
Since she is some after you, you get one last shot. All right. You may step down.
Thank you.